In terms of you initially not being allowed to sue the Barristers Society and then the Supreme Court overruling that, why was it determined that you weren't allowed to initially, and why was it overturned?
So Justice Rosinski was the Supreme Court judge that we went in front of for my pleadings motion. He went over and above what he was allowed to do, and that the Court of Appeal agreed with me on that.
In terms of what?
So there's a time and a place and jurisdiction for every decision that a judge can make. So the judge was supposed to be making preliminary decisions about a matter that hasn't had its day in court. We weren't at a trial stage.
They're just determining whether or not it can go to trial, whether or not there's enough evidence for it to
right.
proceed.
And the standard for that is very low. So the standard for whether you should proceed to a trial is way lower than the standard for a judge to say, oh, I agree with you and you won your case. So at a preliminary stage, he just summarily dismissed it, and there were no grounds for him to do that. He didn't have jurisdiction to do that. He tried to cut the legs out from under my case, and the Court of Appeal slapped him down for it. They overturned his ruling, and they said that I can proceed with my lawsuit. By the way, anybody who's been to the Court of Appeal knows it's extremely difficult to win at the Court of Appeal
Right.
because the test at the Court of Appeal isn't, does the Court of Appeal agree with the lower court's decision? The test is, was there a legal error or a significant enough factual error or mixed fact and law error to justify a new hearing?
So you say they slapped him down, and
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking colloquial here.
But where did they feel that he erred?
Well, they said that he overreached, essentially. There was a motion by Ray Larkin to have my matter dismissed. There was no motion from the Nova Scotia Barristers Society or Victoria Reese, yet he dismissed it against all parties. When he looked at my evidence, he looked for what wasn't there instead of what was there.
What do you mean by that?
So instead of looking at the case as a whole and saying, okay, your claim is sufficient to go to trial, he picked, and he sort of in a nitpicky fashion tried to find errors in my pleadings to just justify dismissing it.
And why would he do that? Was it racism? Was it the initial criminal conviction? Or maybe you have no way of
I think
knowing?
there's systemic factors at play. I think that when a white lawyer is accused of being discriminatory or lying, judges and lawyers come from a small legal community where they don't like to see each other cast in negative lights,
Okay.
and they don't like the system to appear racist. So I think that Justice Rosinski didn't want to see my case go to trial, didn't want to give me the opportunity to potentially win or for this evidence to come out and to be heard. So he just tried to cut the legs out from under it before it could get there. And I think that that's a common trend in Nova Scotia, in the criminal justice system. It's the decision makers are mostly white, and they wear blinders when it comes to racism. They want to ignore it, act like it's not there, and sweep it under the rug. And I think that Justice Rosinski's actions were an example of that, but I can point to plenty more.
You're not able to, I guess, sue him for that, I would understand.
I don't think I can sue him, but I could put in a complaint through the criminal justice or through the judicial complaint committee.
Right.
But it's really difficult to sue a judge because they have immunity and they have protections within the legislation that protect you from being able to sue them like you could a regular person.
Right.
Their decisions are protected.